Peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you so much for that. I came into the first song too. That was pretty dope. Um, I'm thankful that y'all are even having this. I can't really see everybody, but I did see Steph Wiley, so I got to shout him out. It's my Camp the Wolf buddy, so I got to make sure I shout him out. But thank you, Delia, and everyone for that introduction. We have a very important topic going on now, and I'm sure these numbers were mentioned before, but the comptroller put out a report in June 2020. 85% of MWBEs believe they will not be able to survive for 6 more months. Only 40 MWBEs applied for the New York City Business Continuity Loan. Of the 40, only 6 were approved. When I first saw that, I thought it was saying 40%, but that's not what it said. 40. Only 40 applied, and only 6 were approved. Only 48 MWBE applied for the New York City Employee Retention Grant. Of the 48, only 15 were approved. Black women-led firms received only 4% of contracts. That's abysmal. And the state does slightly better, but the city's numbers are pretty abysmal. I also want to say thank you so much for focusing on Black businesses. Somehow we're able to organize around everything else, but when you organize around Black, people get nervous, they get scared. And I want to make sure, and I am public advocate for everyone, so I'm going to assist everyone. But when we're talking about one group, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about that. So I know sometimes we have MWBEs. I want to focus on the M's, particularly the Black M's. When we talk about BIPOC, I'm happy about that as well. But when we want to talk about Black, we should talk about Black, and it's very important that we do so, because when we don't and we open it up, those communities and those businesses don't get the assistance they need. They get lumped in with everyone else. And we see now how hard this community has been hit. The pandemic has exposed the inequities we know have been there, but they've exposed them so bad, even people who want to continue can deny them can't. And we do know that Black businesses in particular are the people most likely to hire people from their community. And that's a critical part of how we're gonna regrow. The city, a couple of things I just want to say about what can happen now when it comes to either commercial rent or COVID relief. The city should suspend or severely cap commercial rent. It should be offering tax breaks and deferments, minimize cuts to things like the small business services. In addition, it can spur job creation in the sector by redirecting tax incentives. Very often, these tax incentives are given to places like Amazon and the huge conglomerates. I believe those same tax incentives can be given to mom and pop shops and small businesses to create the same jobs. We know they have the Small Business Job Survival Act would do this by providing small business owners the right to a 10-year lease with right to renewal and the right to third-party arbitration if fair terms can't be negotiated. We're looking for some edits to the bill, but it should be implementation we want to make sure it doesn't inadvertently benefit chain stores at the expense of our mom and pops and our small Black businesses. The council should pass this bill quickly. Our office is a proud co-sponsor of that. We do have these temporary protections that are needed for residential tenants, but there are no protections for small businesses that actually help build up a community, oftentimes that people don't want to go to. When they made it fashionable, they're then the first ones to go. Action should also be taken to support, as I mentioned, minority, immigrant, women-owned businesses, Black businesses, many of which are unable to benefit from crisis relief programs run by the city, state, and federal governments for many reasons. In order to do so, the mayor should double funding for the $3 million restaurant revitalization program, which subsidizes the wages of workers at restaurants in these communities. Further, as the Center of Urban Future has argued, the city should prioritize New York City-based minority, immigrant, and women businesses in its emergency contracting processes, specifically being able to say that Black businesses in these communities, Caribbean businesses, African businesses, have access to these as well. It is also critical that city ensures government programs can reach these businesses by partnering with trusted community-based organizations and increasing translations of critical materials. While most business development services resources are available in 8 languages, access should be expanded to incorporate the multitude of languages spoken by cities entrepreneurs. As I mentioned, many languages in Africa, Creole. We're not a monolith, and we can't be treated as such. The pandemic also inflated New York State's budget deficit. But given this moment's immense need for real investment, we are calling for the people of New York and robust government services that we have to reject Governor Cuomo's proposed austerity practices that harm our most vulnerable communities. We're thankful that it seems that we will be getting some additional support from the federal government, which we absolutely needed, but it may not be enough, and we still should not stick to cutting austerity cuts that are going to harm these communities even more when there is a whole host of revenue-raising ideas that we have that can raise revenue if we are not afraid of hitting some folks who have the ability to provide this revenue, even though they do donate to a lot of elected officials like the governor, just me speaking, that sometimes makes it difficult for them to do what needs to be done, whether it's a stock transfer tax, whether it is a true millionaire's tax or billionaire's tax. There's a whole host of things that we know that can raise funds to provide the services that are needed, not just social services, but also services for small businesses, which are the lifeblood of the communities that have been hit so much harder. Booker T. Washington said, at the bottom of education, at the bottom of politics, even at the bottom of religion, there must be, for our race, economic independence. On a personal and individual level, there's so much we can do in our lives and our communities. We can seek out and support Black businesses. We can write a modern day green book. We can allow for grace with our Black businesses. Sometimes it just takes one mistake and we write them off. Sometimes we will walk 2 blocks so we don't have to spend an extra 50 cents to our Black businesses. We got to do what we need to do to support our businesses so they can get to the space that we want. We can build economic power by exercising the economic and political power we have already fought for and accumulated. Our buying power is nearly $4 trillion in spite of being denied the abilities to build wealth. Dr. King was talking about the buying power of Black community way back when. 100 years ago, Black Wall Street burned. While the attacks are sometimes less blatant today, they're just as potent. And we have a lot of rebuilding to do. Economic power is power. Without economic justice, we will not have any racial justice. The Black community seems to be the only community where other people can come in and sell their goods and produce, but the Black community is not allowed to go into other communities and do the same. So at minimum, we should be supporting our own. In New York and nationwide, as I've said, we are facing a series of compounding crises. Some are new, but most have been newly exposed and deepened old wounds. Leadership in the face of these challenges is about fulfilling a positive vision, to know the right path and to determine how to achieve it, to focus on the details, but not the political wins. With true leadership, New Yorkers will partner in progress. New York's problems are still here, but so are New York people, all of our people, all shades, colors, and it's a beautiful thing. But in that, we have to move with equity. We have to move with justice in mind. And that means that there are communities that have purposefully been left behind, purposefully under-resourced, and we have to account for that. I firmly believe that with solidarity among the people and a leadership that will answer to the people, we can not only recover from this moment, but we will emerge stronger. I do not want to go back to normal because it didn't work for the vast majority of folks, but we have an opportunity to lay down structural changes to create a new normal. So thank you so much for everyone. Peace and blessings to you all. Love and light. Hope you make lots and lots of money real soon. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jumaane D. Williams. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Excellent.